Anxiety likes to be prepared. If I learned anything from speech class, the more prepared you are, the better. Well, okay, the 75% prepared that you can be, the better.
If I learned anything from speech class, it's, wait, hang on a sec.
No.
Wait, no.
What?
I am Doug Friedman.
I am Kenzie Janess.
And this is Your Mental Breakdown,
the podcast.
Version 3.0.
I don't even know what we're doing, but we're here.
We are here.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question.
I know, and it's loaded, and I know that, like a baked potato.
Right?
So give us what's up. What toppings are we working with?
Oh, it's interesting because my dad used to like, I think it was peanut butter and sour cream.
What?
Peanut
on a
butter,
baked potato?
Peanut butter and bacon bits.
Wait, what was
disgusting?
It? Bagel bits?
Bacon.
Bacon
like
bits?
Fake bacon.
Bacon?
Yeah.
Okay, that's more typical. That's very American.
I guess. I mean, sour cream and bacon.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The peanut butter's throwing me, but like live your life.
Oh, no,
King,
it was peanut butter and banana bacon.
Whoa, no.
No. Peanut butter and banana.
Elvis
on the
Presley
potato,
over here?
Oh.
Sorry. Oh my God.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a dark time. So sometimes.
Speaking of being insensitive. No.
Already 5 minutes in, not even.
Well, you started it with, how are you doing?
I know. I'm trying to be sincere.
You know, we're a week later from last week. But
that is how time works.
Sure.
I'm also on a lot of coffee and no lunch. So here we are.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We know what happens when coffee and no lunch.
Unfortunately, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I think there's something that I, for one, personally am trying to balance. I talk to my clients about this a lot. It's being sincere. And when people like really do say, how are you? They probably mean it.
Yes,
and they are one person checking in on one person. But that person that went through something has sometimes 15, 20, 25 people checking in on the regular. And it's tough. It's exhausting.
I know. That's why I hardly ever ask you genuinely how you're doing, because I'm like, everyone is asking him that. So I'm going to save it for the podcast so that everyone can get your answer at once and everyone can stop asking you.
Oh, that's nice.
So everyone just listen to the podcast and stop bombarding Doug.
Well, no, I said this last week on here that for some people, it works to say, hey, can you check in with me in like a couple of weeks or a month?
Yeah,
and
I like that.
To me, that's one of the biggest things going on right now is there is almost a frenzy of support. Yeah. There are people that want to give you donated items, that want to give you money, which is great. Or, you know, like show you resources, or so many links that I get on social media. And I appreciate everybody wanting to help.
Of course.
It's so much.
Yeah.
The volume is so much and it's overwhelming. And then I have something where I think you know this about me. I don't like to not respond to people. I like nothing in my inbox, you know, the alerts on your phone, you know, when it's like you have 16 responded to messages.
You said I need 0.
Yeah.
Get rid of that red dot.
That's right. That's right.
I get that.
I can't. There's too much. I don't have enough time in the day and I don't have enough spoons. I don't have enough energy to do it.
You got to let go of something. You got to let those add up. And that's just part of the experience right now. It's the give and take or the pros and cons or whatever it is. What is the word I'm looking for? The sacrifice right now. You got to relinquish some control that you previously had.
It's like, I've got no energy, no spoons. I appreciate you checking in.
Yeah.
And I'm going with the flow. So before the fires, I was dealing with a lot of things and just all the stuff that just about anybody has to manage on a daily basis, right? And then you throw this in the mix and it's overwhelming because you're still trying to take care of everything you normally have to do. Like a lot of us that were impacted still have to go to work, still have to do everything that we were doing before, still have to take out the trash.
Right. Oh.
And on top of that, for me in particular, and a lot of people, you have to find another home. You have to find a place to live.
Yeah.
Right? I'm temporary right here.
You're not settling in here. So it's still just this feeling of limbo, I imagine, or flux.
Right.
Everything's in flux.
Right. Then you add to that all the insurance companies, well, just my insurance company talking to me and FEMA. And I went the other day to a recovery center for documents. And that was in my old neighborhood in Altadena. They're set up.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was like a one-stop shop to get a new birth certificate, social security card.
Oh, wow. So it's all digitized and they can print it out for you, or?
Well, I think they had one area where you could get it printed out right then and there if you needed it.
Okay.
I'm like, no, I'm not in a hurry. And the guy said, yeah, it'll come from Sacramento. You'll get it in a couple weeks.
Sure.
So it's cool, but it's recreating all that stuff with like whatever seal makes it official.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, fortunately, I had my driver's license on me. There are some people that had nothing.
Nothing.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you even said, but when you evacuated, you did not think you were going to be losing your home. Like you did not pack that much stuff.
I didn't pack hardly anything.
Pretty much anything. You had your laptop, right?
That was it. Yep. Yep. I don't know if I told you this, but friends of mine went back there.
Okay. That was one of my questions. Like, have you been back there since?
I've been back. Yeah. And one of the things my friends went and did for me was all my documents and passports were in a fire safe bag and a fire safe filing cabinet.
Right. I wanted the update on that.
So they went there and they found the filing cabinet and they got in there.
Okay. He's showing me a photo.
And that's the photo of my passport.
Whoa.
Which they said essentially as soon as they put it in their hands.
Charred.
It just turned
fell
to ash.
apart. Yeah. Really? Oh my God. Yeah, it was only still intact just because it burned right there. It's crazy that it still says passport on it though. Oh my God. Fire. Okay. Fire is so destructive and horrible, but also incredible. Like that's it. What a feat of nature. Like what?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing is
it's weird.
I loved a campground fire.
Yeah.
You know, like playing guitar around the campfire.
Oh my God. One of my favorite pastimes.
And I still do love looking at a fire, just watching it. And I'm not a pyro. Like maybe when I was a kid, I'd lit fire to some things. Like we all do that, right?
Yeah. Crickets. Yeah.
And the smell, I love the smell.
Same.
And
roasting marshmallows.
Yeah, s'mores. S'mores.
The best.
Yeah.
Truly my favorite smell in this world is roasted marshmallows and campfire. But anyway, that's not about me.
Oh, yeah. Even that, like when I'd go camping and I would do that, then you'd come home and you could still smell it on your clothes, right?
Yes.
And that was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, people hate it. And I'm like, what? That's the best smell ever. But yeah. Keep going.
What we're talking about now is a wildfire.
Yeah. Just
the sheer like temperature was so high that it took out a fire safe. It took out everything except for chimneys. There were...
I know that's
in
like
the neighborhood,
only
you could see a bunch of chimneys
because they're brick typically, right? Or like something that is just naturally fire repellent or retardant or whatever. That is the craziest thing about fire is like the context, right? I mean, not to get philosophical here, but like a campfire in a contained environment and you're roasting marshmallows. Ooh, it's so lovely. It smells so good.
Sure.
And then fire burning down your house is like, oh my God, fires are the worst things ever. Like what the hell, nature?
Well, it's uncontrolled, right?
Yeah.
And I remember reading about when I was in school, these controlled burns that they would try to do like for the environment.
Yeah, or to grow crops.
Right. You need to burn things. You need like slash and burn, like let it go. And it's good to a degree, but I don't think to this degree is good for anything.
It's like the dose makes the poison, right?
Ooh, I've never heard that.
What? Really?
Yeah. Tell me more.
Okay, my scientific little brain.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite little concepts, I suppose, or laws or theories, whatever.
Sure.
The dose makes the poison, right? I mean, you can have too much kale, right? Anything in the right or wrong dose can be good or bad for you. It just depends on how much.
All things in moderation.
All things in moderation. Or like, the tiniest bit of something that's poisonous, right? Can really, really harm you. But if you have a lot of it, it could kill you, right? Any sort of drug works in that way. Right? I'm not an expert in drugs, obviously.
And I will say this, because we are essentially a therapy podcast. There is such a thing as too much therapy.
Totally. No, seriously. Even being over analytical about every move you make could be detrimental.
Tell me more about that.
Shut up. As I'm fidgeting with this thing.
I had a client who was seeing me for a regular therapy, was doing plant medicine journeys, was seeing a couples therapist with his partner, and was seeing, I think, a sex therapist.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a lot.
Because it was different issues.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm fine with all that. But there was a point in which I said, hey, maybe you're working too hard. Maybe you're doing too much. Like, what if we step back from this and just get a little perspective if we can?
Yeah, just be.
Right.
I think sometimes we feel uncomfortable with just being, and we think that we have to be doing all the time and doing better and optimizing our life. and filling in those gaps.
We were talking about that last week with I stay in action. I stay moving.
Yeah, very similar.
And when I stop and it catches up to me, that's when it all hits emotionally.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I think that's a positive thing.
To an extent, right? The dose makes the poison.
Oh,
and we brought
you.
it back. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we are a therapy podcast, right? So may I bring it back to a therapy concept?
I suppose.
I might have already asked you this, but that feels like a different world now. Like that, your mental breakdown, like pre-fire, feels like a different world. So question for you. How do you balance, because it's maybe in the similar boat, and it could be relevant to right now. You can tell me if it feels relevant.
We'll see.
Self-improvement and self-acceptance. This comes up a lot with clients, especially the ones that are like highly anxious, intellectuals, care about bettering themselves. And it's similar to what you said, like doing too much therapy, too much of a seemingly good thing.
Right.
At what point is it eroding? They're eroding each other, right? Like, how do you find that balance?
The easy answer for that's not satisfying at all is
that you don't, and it depends.
It depends. It depends on the person, really. Because if you're saying like, oh, self-acceptance, I accept me for as I am for this. Like,
right.
Wait, but you're not actually improving. You're kind of not doing any good to anybody.
Right.
Are you sure you want to accept that?
Right. But if it's all subjective, what if they're like, yeah, I feel great. I'm good. I don't need to change.
Well, and for them, they might be. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's case by case. I mean, I can't make a blanket statement on when is enough self-acceptance, when is enough self-improvement.
But what isn't too much self-improvement? When are we compartmentalizing? I mean, there's so many. Like, woo! Hello, Beckett. Beckett's here, everyone.
Hey, bud. I know. That was UPS.
How has Beckett been through all this?
He's a champ. I mean, he's so adaptable. He's been in so many different environments with me that he really does, I think, equate me with home. Yeah. So wherever I am, and he will find his home. Like even in this place, he's found his routines. He's found what he needs to guard, what he needs to just chill. I mean, it took him a while. That dog bed right there, I got donated from my friends.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And did he smell the other dog? And he was like, what the heck?
At first, yeah. And then after, a few days, he kind of got into it. Was like, okay, all right.
I guess this is it.
All right.
Yeah, we can learn something from you, Beckett. Huh?
I went back to the neighborhood to get those vital documents the other day, right?
Yeah.
And while I was there, I went to one of the areas we used to walk.
Yeah.
Not on one of the deep trails because I don't want to go in there. I don't trust what the air on the ground is like right now. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be kicking that up.
Friends of mine, when they went back to the neighborhood a week ago, they were walking around and they said they were taking steps and you could see like puffs of smoke still come up from where they were stepping.
Ooh.
As though like the ground was kind of still simmering.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's really scary.
But we went somewhere and just on a nice path, walking area with a bunch of oak trees in it because those are native to Altadena. And it was beautiful and really reminded me of, I love this neighborhood. I love being like at the foothills. I mean, there's so much nature and wildlife. You know this because you've stayed at my place. Right?
Yeah.
And there's
gorgeous.
Owls, parrots, fly, and deer, peacocks, bears, coyotes. Oh my.
My. California.
Right? But it really does have that feel. And walking around with him felt really nice and made me think, I do want to rebuild. I do want to come back here because it's the topography. I love it. I love the environment.
I was going to ask you about that because I know you're currently looking at a place that is not in Altadena, right? So what is that feeling of just like starting over in a new place and not just being like, okay, I'm going to another home in Altadena, right? Like there are no homes in Altadena. Like you can't live there.
There are still some. Actually, some people I know, their homes were untouched.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess more towards us. Yeah.
Yeah. But being back there for them, they're not ready to be back there because the air is horrible. And that's one thing. I came back from walking around with Beckett and I had the cough back again.
Oh my God.
I was just starting to clear the cough.
Yeah.
And then
I heard you coughing earlier. Right. I was like, oh,
it's like,
God.
Oh, wow. So I guess the air really is pretty bad right there. Right? Living proof.
Fire.
So I would love to be back in that neighborhood for sure. That's my chosen neighborhood, geographically speaking, in LA.
Right. There's a reason you ended up there.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was the nature trails. And I don't know. They might be decimated right now. We'll see.
Well, the one you were at with the oak trees and stuff, that was recently and they were still there?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Oh, wow. How does it feel to be back there? I know I'm jumping all over the place, but that just sounds like a possibly very emotional experience.
It possibly was, but remember, I'm compartmentalizing. So
I don't want to assume.
For me, the part that got emotional was how much I love this place.
Yeah.
And seeing Beckett go back to where he used to chase the ground squirrels and like go after them and dig up a little bit.
He must have been so excited.
He loved it. He loved it. I'm like, oh man, what gutted me was thinking he just turned 9. And by the time I get back into my house, it might be 4 or 5 years. He's going to be like 14 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that. I want him to live the way that we were living.
Your child.
Right? Yeah. So being back there was kind of emotional and thinking of, well, how do I find a home again, to answer your other question?
Yeah.
It's the most unsettling feeling to me to not be settled somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
No matter where I go next, it is temporary.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Even if you like put a down payment on a house, you're like, this is still temporary.
Yeah, because it's not where I want to live forever. Where I want to live forever was Altadena.
Yeah.
So wherever I go next, in my mind, it is probably 4 or 5 years.
I mean, that's not a small chunk of time, and everyone's different with, renting, owning, how long you're at the place. Like some people
that's sort of what we were saying last week is when I was back from Colorado and looking for a place and found this home, I had such an incredible relief that, okay, I'm here. All of my stuff can come out. I can put it away and I can just plant. And I don't have to buy one sponge for the kitchen. I can get a box of sponges. Like anything. It's like I could buy things in bulk.
Yeah.
Cool. Because this is where I am.
Store them here.
Right.
They live here.
Right. To me, that was one of the most comforting things about getting a place was I've landed. I'm here. I can actually have things here. And my closet was a safe haven for Kim's stuff, for my mom's stuff.
It's home base.
Yeah.
We were talking about this last week too, but the sentimentality of it all, right? Like the material items, it is nice to be surrounded by your stuff.
Absolutely.
There's a reason why we like having a home base.
Yeah.
And the comfort of like our environment that we chose, we curated for ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, traveling is great. People love traveling, but it's also weirdly, maybe this is not everyone's experience, but I certainly almost always feel an excitement or a comfort in coming back to my home.
Yeah. Absolutely. I say that all the time, that I love traveling. And one of my favorite things about traveling is coming home.
Right.
Right. And it's my bed, right? My pillow, my blankets, and my things around me. Because the things around you,
you chose.
You chose. Absolutely. We were talking about that last week with the things that are sacred to you in your life.
Right.
Some of us yearn for the freedom and the unencumbered, like
untethered life.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's wonderful. And I think that's great for some people.
Totally. And maybe temporarily.
Right. Yeah. Sure. I think it's a healthy thing to experience that. I also think that having that stability in your life with those things, wherever they are and whatever they are, means a lot. It's sort of like if you go real grand existential, helps us think, oh, I'm not just one little insignificant speck on this rock hurtling through space.
Right. Well, I like to comfort myself with that thought, actually.
Do you?
Yeah. Some people that gives them great terror, but to me, I'm like, yes, I am insignificant.
Yeah.
Love.
I mean, it just kind of like brings things into perspective and you go, oh, right. So maybe I don't have to stress so hard about this book report or this, whatever it is.
But there is the duality that exists there. Like, okay, I am nothing. I'm but an ant, but I'm also so special and important to somebody or something and to myself because I'm living this life. It's from my POV.
Yep.
And this environment around me matters. And my home that just got burnt down, that mattered to me.
Well, and it's not just the home, but the things in it.
Yes, the meaning of everything. And that's okay.
Yeah. Stephen Crane?
That sounds very familiar.
A man said to the universe.
This does sound actually very familiar.
Because I've said it to you before.
Okay, that's probably
on the
why.
podcast.
Okay, hit me.
You ready for it?
Yes, absolutely.
A man said to the universe, "Sir, I exist. However," replied the universe, "the fact has not created in me a sense of obligation."
Okay, what's your interpretation of that? We're in English class in high school. Go. Hit me.
It's going like, hey, look at me. I exist. Like, acknowledge me. I'm special. I'm something. And look. I'm not just a speck. I'm not just an ant. And the universe goes, yeah, I see you. So what?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with
that?
Yeah.
right?
That's existentialism, right? Like, yeah, I am but a speck. And also, cool, I get to create meaning then. What am I going to do with this insignificance?
Exactly. Right. Because we're talking about this with a guy who wrote that, and it carries deep meaning in a 4-line poem.
I love that.
Oh, that is significant.
Love a short and sweet poem, though, that really hits.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
Yes.
I think maybe I talked about this last week or asked this, but things could have changed over the course of a week. I'm sure a lot is changing and maybe not at all. And probably feels like time is an amorphous blob. And what does it even mean? With that said, what's giving you comfort right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. One thing, it's funny. Part of thinking of what gives me comfort, I go to what are the things that have given me discomfort.
Okay, and
so
what's the opposite?
Well, in a sense, like, this gave me great discomfort. What helped me feel better?
Right. What was
when
my
I was
coping skill?
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Sure, that's a good way to look at it.
And one thing that did give me comfort was going back with Beckett to one of the places we used to walk.
Yeah.
And seeing him like rip it up and, and dig around. That felt great. That was comforting.
Yeah.
I didn't like the cough that came with it, right?
Sure, the consequences.
Right.
But the immediate
was there.
The experience.
I never thought I would say this because it doesn't mean that much to me, but food.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
Not necessarily what you think, but there's 2 of my favorite restaurants in Altadena.
Sure, right? Absolutely.
One of them is gone.
Which one's gone?
Amara.
Is it really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Gone.
Okay. Yeah.
But they have another location.
That's what I thought.
Not far from where we are
in
here.
Like Highland Park or something, right? Okay.
So I went and got Amara from the Highland Park one.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And that felt comforting.
Yes.
Like, I know this food. I know what this is like. And it's not a chain like going to TGI Fridays or something, right?
But that could have been your comfort, but it
could have been.
Right?
No knock
but these
on
are the
Fridays.
Places that you ate.
Right.
But that's just it. Like the olfactory system is so tied to the hippocampus. Sorry, I'm going to get scientific. But like memories, right, are so tied to smells and tastes and and our emotions. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite Indian place that's in Pasadena, that's still there. And eating that food, loved it. So I think actually tomorrow I'm picking up food from there and eating it with a friend of mine because that was like one of our places that we loved. Yeah. And to have that food again, it's so comforting. That's why I think a lot of people that come from different cultures that have cultural food, when they get to eat the food of their culture, of their people, it feels incredible.
Well, and if I imagine it feels like home. Like there's a taste of home.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in this context, you don't really have home. Your home is just kind of, I mean, is it just you inside? Is that kind of what feels like home right now? Does anything?
It's wild. I would say the thing that feels most like home to me is when I lie down and Beckett gets on top of me and just like sprawls on me.
Yes.
And it's comfort for him and it's comforting for me.
Yeah.
And that's probably as close as I can get. There are some other things that I am happy to lean into in no particular order. Food, which we mentioned.
Yeah.
TV.
I was going to ask you about, are there any other, besides food, like new or surprising things that are giving you comfort?
Well,
I mean, I knew you liked TV, but you didn't strike me as the person that was like, reality TV watcher or like something like got to shut my brain off.
Yeah. Reality TV. Have you ever seen, was it 90 Day Fiancé?
I've never seen it, but I have heard of it.
Yeah, no, me neither. That's not that.
I was about to you're in your sarcastic tone right now, so I know that you're fucking with me.
Okay, but I'll be serious for a second.
Please.
I realized what I was doing when I did this is I don't have a large attention span for TV right now. I just can't, right?
Okay.
So I needed something kind of short and I wanted something a little uplifting.
Yeah.
And I went to Ted Lasso.
Oh, which I've heard that's very uplifting.
I've seen before in its entirety.
But that's comforting, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And there's something about it. It's not just familiar, it's known. And I was reading psychologically why people will cycle through TV shows that they've already seen and watch them multiple times.
Yes, it's a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because it is known. I know what happens. There aren't surprises.
There's certainty.
Right. Even if my emotions go, ooh, I hope these two characters wind up together.
Right.
Oh, they don't?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
But I knew that.
You knew that. Yeah.
So in the back of your mind somewhere, you know how something's going to play out. So it's a very known entity.
Yeah. In a very unknown world. Right. We crave certainty.
Exactly.
You said you caught yourself, like you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a fun little, I mean, not only therapists, but people just who are used to maybe being mindful or bringing awareness to things. Because it reminds me of what we were saying earlier about sometimes getting over analytical or just kind of doing too much introspection.
Right.
Like, how have you found the balance of just like, oh, I see what I'm doing right now. Okay, cool. I'm just going to keep doing it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's not going, oh, I see what I'm doing right now. Ooh,
Why
I better
am I
not.
doing it?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Judging yourself.
When I went to, I think I told you, I spent a couple of days in Santa Barbara. Thank you, Airbnb, for the credit.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop.
Yep. And I got sick.
Right? Yeah, not woo woo.
No, but I got a trial period of Apple TV Plus or Apple Plus TV, whatever it is, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, and I've had it before. Like I've seen Ted Lasso on there. I've seen the show Shrinking on there, and I watched the new season of Shrinking.
Okay.
Right?
I'm curious about your thoughts on that show.
I will tell you my thoughts on that show.
Okay, because everyone's been telling me to watch it, and I'm like, I don't want to watch a therapist show. They always butcher it.
Right. Well, they did butcher it, and by virtue of that, it's actually a good show because it's so ridiculously off the mark and inappropriate.
That's what I've heard. Okay.
Yeah. But added bonus for me, it's filmed in my neighborhood.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wait, this neighborhood, new neighborhood, old neighborhood?
Old neighborhood.
Wow.
The park where they play pickleball?
Yeah. Oh my God, no way.
That's my park.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, and that is not T-word triggering for you. That is comforting, maybe?
A little bit of both. It was so raw.
Yeah.
And I've heard that the pickleball courts made it, that they're okay.
Well, because they're like cement, right?
I guess.
I mean...
But there was a huge structure at the park, and that was our polling place or where we vote and all that. I think that's gone. But a lot of the park itself is still there.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I haven't been there.
Yeah.
But seeing it on the show was like, oh, okay, that's kind of nice. That's kind of cool.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's familiar.
I guess it kind of does live on in some ways because there is footage of it.
Sure. And then I went to Ted Lasso. I'm like, I've seen it. I know it.
Yeah.
But it's going to give me that comfort and that sense of known.
Yeah.
So I very consciously went and like, sure, I'll watch an episode of that. That felt good.
Yeah. It's funny that you said consciously, because I was literally just thinking people derive comfort from so many different things. Like I'm thinking about people who like horror and like that's their comfort.
Right.
And I'm like, cannot relate in the slightest to that. But for some people, it is truly like that's easy peasy. And
sure.
It feels like home.
Yeah, but, like Saw 4.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. We were playing a horror video game last night, and I was like, this is just not for me. My nervous system is so elevated constantly.
Well, last year, I think everybody got into Last of Us.
Oh, I loved that. But then I tried playing the video game, and I was like, I can't do this.
Oh, really?
Oh, as soon as I am in like combat with somebody, I like fling the controller. I'm so stressed out. I cannot do it. My poor partner wants me to get into games so bad. I can tell. The most I can do is Zelda. That's the most I can do.
Aww.
And like Super Mario Bros. Like that's fun. Okay. I know that you studied theology and religion, right? In college. And I know that it's something that you have a lot of knowledge about. And I am very philosophically minded and interested in the existential and philosophical questions that come from an experience like this, like a traumatic experience. And I'm just going to say it the way that it came to mind for me, like very raw here, which was holy shit, this is so unfair. Like something like that implies that there's someone controlling what's going on, right? I don't know how you feel about these things and higher powers, but in moments like this, or even in previous traumatic moments, because I have never gotten to that place, but I assume that it could happen to anybody where you just slightly wonder, is there someone up there who's controlling this shit?
Well, I do sometimes say to the universe, sir, I exist. However, the universe says.
Damn it, Doug. Same. That's what I would do, right? Like it's more of the universe. Like just, why?
Look, it's funny because one of my clients said, I know you don't believe in this, but one of my thoughts was, wow, Doug must have really pissed God off.
Right? That's what I mean though. Like,
and I
different
think,
interpretations.
Really? I think I'm collecting a lot of positive karma in some way.
See, and then you just flipped it to a different theology.
Right. Do I think that there's a purpose for this stuff? No. What I have learned and what I think to be true for me is that there is not a reason for things happening, but we make reason out of the things that happen.
Right. Yeah. Everyone's got a different interpretation of it and we make meaning out of it. Yeah. I mean, you're an existentialist at heart. That's really what it is. I mean, same, shrugged, same. It's funny. People say like everything happens for a reason. And I'm like, to you, I think you're saying, not you, Doug, but I think the general you who does believe that everything happens for a reason, they mean like God or some higher power is making it happen for reasons that are like, ooh, purpose.
Right.
But I think to you and me, we're saying, well, everything happens for, duh. Yeah. Like scientifically, everything's happening for various reasons, but not like a spiritual reason, maybe.
It's whatever we interpret and how we want to interpret it. I mean, you remember this. I told you the parable of the Chinese farmer.
Oh, yes.
Whose horse runs away.
Right.
And the neighbor says, oh, what bad luck. Oh, bad luck, good luck. Who can say? And then the horse comes back with 6 other wild horses. Wow. Right. You now have 6 new horses. What good luck.
Good luck, bad luck.
Who can say? Right. Yeah. And then trying to tame the horses, it throws his son off of it and breaks his arm. What bad luck, good luck, who can say?
Yeah.
And the army comes to take any able-bodied men and they can't take his son because he broke his arm, and it just keeps going.
That's life.
It's good luck or bad luck. It's this very Taoist thing. Like it just is.
It just is. Well, it reminds me of Stoicism too. Like the Stoic approach to maybe even your house burning down would literally be, and it is what it is. My house burnt down. How am I responding to that? Like how I'm responding to that is up to me. And I think that sounds invalidating to a lot of people are just like, wait, what? Does that mean I can't have my emotional experience?
Exactly.
Right?
Well, to me, that's the crux, because I might be existential or Stoic or Taoist or Buddhist or all of these things, and none of them, who knows?
Right.
I am also a therapist, but I'm somebody who very much believes in the human experience and having emotions.
Yeah.
So I can still go, well, my house is no more.
Yeah. And
I have these feelings about it.
Fucking sad.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I start thinking of all the things that are gone, and when I think of the life that I spent accumulating these things, and my mom's things or Kim's things and their lives and what that means, it has huge meaning.
Of course.
And huge sentiment. To me, it's all of those things.
It's like, it's yes and it's both. It's all. It can be anything.
Right.
It just depends on the person. Yeah.
Right. And I think for me, I'm a big believer in balance, and balance being not that center point.
Not the actual center point, but just both or all.
And there are some people that get incredibly emotional about losing their homes, and for good reason. There's nothing wrong with that.
How are you going to invalidate that and just be like, guys, come on, it is what it is. Get over it.
Right. And there are those people that are incredibly stoic about it. And it's finding like a little bit of both. And I think when you pan out and look at the entire world that we live in, there's some sort of cosmic balancing, right? I don't call that God, but if you called it God, I'd be okay with that.
Sure, whatever works for you.
Right. And there's some balance to things and there's imbalance to it.
Totally. You know, there's order and there's chaos.
Right. And that's why I used to love the yin yang. I used to want that as a tattoo when I was a kid.
I would not be surprised if you showed me your arm and you had a yin yang tattoo.
It's got the
balance.
The balance of each, the energy. And inside each one is the other.
It is a really great symbol, regardless of, I think, religious belief. Like it is a great symbol of balance.
I will expose myself.
Do it.
Not in the way you think.
Not in a weird way.
No.
Okay.
And say that when I was younger, I didn't just want a yin yang tattoo. I wanted it to be 2 orcas
on
intertwined.
Your face. Oh, whoa, whoa.
I thought orcas were so cool.
That's so, what year was this? Because it could be 70s, 80s, 90s.
Oh, these were the 80s.
90s, 80s? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
I see that.
You know, I was young.
Dang it, Doug. I wish you got it.
I was so young and foolish. I was probably your age.
Okay, right. I was waiting for the jab.
No.
I would consider it. I do want a new tattoo so soon. Okay, but anyway, to wrap that one up, the whole theology, religious thing. I do think I related to Stoicism in early college days in my philosophy 101 class, because ooh, is that the answer to all my problems? Like, just say it is what it is.
Right.
And then I realized no, you got to feel your feelings too. And I don't think the Stoics are saying don't feel your feelings, but they are a little brash about just not get over it, but it is what it is, and you get to decide how you respond. But not really. Yeah. Sometimes feelings are automatic, and then you get to decide how you modulate and behave according to them. But those feelings are going to happen. I don't want to invalidate or gaslight people.
I would say for me, as long as you're not suppressing or denying something.
Yeah.
if you are, you want to address it somewhere, somehow,
eventually,
right?
Yeah.
Whether like what you're suppressing is this incredibly sad emotion that's going to make you cry, or incredible anger that's going to make you go out there and do something. Like, okay, you might say, well, isn't it good to suppress that? Like, sure, to not take the action.
Right, exactly. But the feeling,
right?
Yes. And I was just talking to a client about that.
Yeah.
It is helpful to delineate between like the feeling and the action associated with it. Because they're not the same.
No. And if you deny the feelings, then they're just going to build and build and build. And you might not have the ability to regulate and control the action.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
And that's why it's important to feel your feelings.
And that's why also we take this action by bringing this podcast to you.
Nice.
See how I did that?
That was good. Yeah, I'm not there yet where I can wrap it up at the end because I could just keep yapping about random shit.
The balance that we'll strike is, how do we know when we're just yapping randomly, and how do we know if this yapping is helping anybody out there?
Yeah.
Right?
How will we know?
I don't know.
People could like, comment. What are they? Like, comment, subscribe, share, repost, reblog.
So if you do want to reach out to us, we're on all the social medias at your.mental.breakdown. And you can email us at info@yourmentalbreakdown.com.
Yes.
And we will probably be doing something similar to this going forward. Like I said before, we might bring on some guests and have some people talking with us about this stuff, because it's
cool.
You don't want to just hear us yammering.
Yeah, boring.
Yeah. I mean, you bore me.
I know. I don't know why you keep bringing me back on this thing.
I don't know.
I'm the only person that'll do it.
You're the only one that talks to me.
Please. Remember the beginning of this podcast when you're like, everyone stop reaching out to me. You're so popular. But I show up in person.
It just made me think of Wicked.
Popular. You're gonna be. Okay, yeah.
Oh, you didn't hit the note.
Popular.
There you go. Love it. On that note,
we'll see you next week, maybe.
We're out.
Bye.
Bye.